All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:15. We apologize for the delay. Had a little problem getting the program going. So those present are myself, Leanne Overy, Clarence Casper, Sue Headline, Christine Powers, Liz, John Scott. So I declare that we have a quorum. And we've done roll call. Is there any unfinished business that anybody would like to bring up? Nothing, John? Okay. Under new business, we have two grants that we're here tonight to review and be able to explain if there are questions at the larger meeting. The first one that we're going to talk about, and we have Jerry with us this evening to help us out with the explanation of it. Jerry is our master of the recreation department. Jerry Locken. Jerry, would you like to tell us about the wellness grant?
Sure. The National Recreation and Park Association, it's a national organization, and it's members all over the country, had a grant to establish a wellness hub in 18 communities throughout the country. The grant provides $90,000 of funding over 18 months. And we submitted an application, and we were selected one out of 18 recipients in the country. Again, a wellness hub is the concept of a wellness hub is to use the existing facilities for Parks and Rec and bring in community partners to and sometimes provide services or make connections with existing community resources when people are already in the community center, perhaps for a karate class or a dance class, and they come upon other services like TVCCA, like Head Start. They might be having an enrollment activity in the community center for enrolling for Head Start, for example, or we might have a vaccination clinic, or people can come and get a dinner meal through a meal program that we're offering with the Board of Education, those kinds of things. So the funding is to allow us to get a staff member to coordinate those activities from all those community partners. We're not in the business of providing vaccines, and we're not in the business of providing food, and we're not in the business of registering people for Head Start, but we can make those things available in the center, a place where people are already going in the community. So that's kind of the goal. We've already taken a few steps in that direction. Even with our drop-in programming that we initiated in the last budget year, we're trying to get more community members into the Groton Community Center to get them served. The community center, as everybody knows, is in a prime location in town, right in the middle of Pequannock Bridge. And there's a lot of people that live in the area, a lot of people that go there for services. Not everybody, though, comes there, has money to pay for Parks and Rec programs. So we want to provide other alternatives for people, again, to access programs and services that, eliminate maybe some transportation issues or timing issues or things like that. So I hope that gives everybody just an overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions about it.
Go ahead.
This is not paying for a person, this is paying for services, correct?
Actually, in our budget that we submitted, we actually hope to hire a part-time person to kind of coordinate these activities. So yeah, we would actually be hiring somebody to do this.
Okay.
And we'd also be looking at buying supplies and training people, and there's some other maybe even making changes to the building. If we decide a room in the building isn't suiting a need, maybe we spend some of the money on that as well.
Get a copy of The budget, proposed budget?
No, that the budget, we submitted a draft budget to the funders, but we're actually right now, we've already gone through 2 of 3 trainings with the other 18 other 17 grantees in the country. And after we complete that training, our final budget is due. But I expect that it's going to have part-time staff. I expect it's going to have supplies and equipment. I expect it's going to have some contractual services and, you know, things like that in it.
Have you, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe. Have you been doing that training by Zoom?
Correct.
Wow, 18, and we managed to get one.
Yes.
Wow, I think that's impressive. Oh, I'm sorry,
John has his hand up.
John, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. So Moderator Rusk started the question. So you anticipate hiring a part-time employee, and this grant is for, I'm seeing here, 18 months. So what happens at the end of the 18 months? Do we get another grant, or is this going to be an additional employee on your budget going forward that we'll have to find a way to fund?
Yeah, that's a great question, John. Right now, 18 months brings us through the end of 2000, well, actually, the end of the fiscal year 23. So if I'm counting that right, or it's even
We're in 23.
23, 24.
Yeah.
So we just started, it goes through December 31st, 2023 is when the grant ends. So in answer to the question, though, the town would have to make a determination by the next budget process that comes through. I mean, we're going to be starting our budgets in November, December, January in our town. You know, that's when departments are making our budgets. So by that time, we hope to know more about what kind of success we can obtain here in September, October, November, kind of get a sense for how things are going, and, you know, help make a decision based on, yes, do we go out and seek additional grant funding for this, or is this something that just gets absorbed into the Park and Rec, you know, operational budget? If it does, you know, I expect that it would be, you know, a part-time staff member could be in the, say, $25,000 a year, something like that. We have dozens of seasonal and part-time people like that in our existing budget. It's not going to be a big budget impact for the department in any case, but I think there are opportunities, and the fact that we got this grant kind of shows that we have existing infrastructure in town that makes us a desirable candidate for this. I will say in the referral memo, you hear a lot of talk about the Health Improvement Collaborative of Southeastern Connecticut. Groton Parks and Recreation is a key collaborator on that with Ledgelight Health District, TVCCA, L&M Hospital, you know, just dozens of organizations. So we've been participating in that collaboration since it began. We have a lot of support from those members to do this. And yeah, I guess in my own mind, I'm optimistic about our chances at getting additional grant funding to extend it, assuming that we're successful. If we're not successful, you know, I guess then we just pull the plug and walk away, and we're none the worse off.
Jerry, the $90,000, if you're anticipating having to hire somebody on, what are you anticipating the labor cost to be, inclusive of taxes and benefits, et cetera?
I think it looks like we were planning $30,000 for all of that. So that could be all, like I say, if you have $25,000, you'll be paying taxes and stuff like that. In a part-time position, there are no benefits or any other kind of associated costs. So it's just strictly wages and Social Security.
Okay, so 30,000 for the salary, leaving you 60,000.
Yep. And it's for 18 months. So it's not, take that 90,000 and split that in half. So you kind of got like year one is 45 and year two is 45.
So this is what you call this, a health collaborative?
The health
A health
improvement.
improvement collaborative.
Right.
So specifically, what does a health improvement, what is this $60,000 remaining dollars going to do to improve health in the town of Groton?
Okay, so just to be clear, we budgeted 2 years, so it's $30,000 per year. So that's a total of 60. The grant was 90. There's, I think the question you're asking, what are we doing with the other 30? The other 30 would be buying equipment, supplies for, things that go on in the community center, potentially making changes to a room to make it more usable for particular purposes, that kind of thing.
All right, so when I visualize like health improvement, we're making people physically fit, maybe getting a medical care, things like that. In the narrative here, it says the Health Improvement Collaborative has a vision of Southeastern Connecticut as a community healthy in body and mind, and promotes access to health equity, social justice, inclusiveness, and opportunities for all. Can you give me some more detail as to how health equity and social justice and inclusiveness improves health?
So yeah, that's another great question, John. There are, depending on where you live in Groton, your life expectancy is different. Your access to food is different. Your access to parks is different. Your access to education, transportation, whatever, all of those things are different for everybody in town. There are sections of the town that can expect to have higher rates of asthma. There are people in town that can expect to have higher rates of obesity. There are people in town that can expect to, have all kinds of different adverse health outcomes. And part of what we want to do is we want to bring in those services to kind of target those key demographics in town that are experiencing those adverse health outcomes at a disproportionate rate, and try to address them and connect them with services at the community center. So I hope that answered the question, or.
Yeah. I guess when I see the term, I mean, health equity, social justice, and inclusiveness is kind of some key language that I think is used in other parts of the country to identify things like gender ideology and the teaching of pronouns and things like that. Is that something that's part of what this grant will be working towards, or is it truly going to be what you identified a minute ago with respect to getting better access to healthcare?
Yeah, I think without kind of, putting too big of a political spin on it, I think if there are, for example, health outcomes that transgender people experience that are in some way negative and disproportionate to the rest of the population, I think we would be looking at providing those types of services in the building in a way that welcomes them and makes them more likely to come and be served. So could there be training on LGBTQ things, or use of pronouns to help make somebody more comfortable? I think that's conceivable. I think we could see trainings on cultural issues and race and military and single parents and all kinds of different things that we would, to try to understand what barriers or issues each one of those groups are facing and try to address them. So I don't think it's it's not a specific focus, but I think it's a part of a general focus that if those folks exist in the community, and I think we know they do, we're going to make our effort to make them feel welcome and get them into the building to be served.
Okay. I'm not opposed, when I ask these questions, I'm not opposed. I'm a gay man myself. I understand the challenges that members of the LGBT community have, including people who are transgender and trying to figure that part of their lives out. I guess the one thing that I've always been concerned about in this conversation when I see these keywords of health equity, social justice, is that I just want a commitment from you that if there are conversations happening between children and your counselor or whatever this employee's title is going to be, that it doesn't become a don't tell your parents that the information will be shared with the parents or whoever the primary caregiver is for the individual.
So I would say that that goes beyond what Parks and Rec is doing. We're not counseling anybody. We're bringing partners in to meet people and to make connections. So if L&M Hospital comes in and they're they would be more likely doing those activities you were just saying, counseling, or human services coming in to do counseling, or meeting with somebody to set up counseling at a later time, all those kinds of things. We're not doing it. We're just facilitating the connection to those providers.
I need to leave, but I'm going to join on Zoom so so we'll still have a quorum.
Thank you.
So log me in a minute.
All right, we'll have our quorum back shortly.
So you go on one that was sent to you. And
I think I only got the.
I don't think so. I don't know.
I think I'm all set for my questions at the moment. I mean, there's their time to come back.
Representative Powers has her
No matter
hand
what
up.
else.
I liked your questions, John. I think part of the health equity is talking about like certain ancestries and genetics. Besides, there's different diseases or health issues that certain populations have. So, people that don't see healthcare providers routinely, or there are certain populations that are more prone to diabetes and heart problems or health issues. I think like the whole health equity encompasses like way bigger than what we look at as far as I don't know what the word is, like health equities is huge now. It never was a term, and I work in healthcare, and I'm like, health issue is a health issue is a health issue, but there's certainly inequities based on your economic status and where you live and certain populations. So
Well, I
this is
agree with you
something to
wholeheartedly.
balance that, right, John?
Right.
We see it, we both see it, and I see it every day, and it's like I shake my head because we get people that come in. I work in breast imaging at Lawrence and Memorial, and people come in and it's like, well, how long have you had this breast lump? It's like I'm shaking my head because it's like, they've had it a long time, but they haven't had a provider or some access or a way to get addressed. I guess that's my biggest point. And health equity is huge. And we definitely need to look at this.
I do have another question if you've.
Yeah, I'm good. Go for it.
All right. And along the line of what Representative Powers is asking, we talk about school-based health centers, which I think are very important because there's a lot of school children in certain parts of our town who don't have access to proper medical care and mental health care. Is any of this duplicative of what we're providing in our school-based health centers?
I don't think so. Schools are going to continue to do what they're going to do. This is just one more, providing one more place in the community where services can be, kind of
Fill the gap.
made accessible, so yeah, we're probably not going to be providing those physicals or things like that at the community center, but we are going to be connecting people with, healthcare workers who might, set up that doctor's appointment or help them navigate the complexity of the medical system to access care at a later time or later place. I mean, we're just trying to make those connections. We're not, like I say, trying to make a clinic at the community center. That's not what we're doing.
Services or anything.
Yes.
Please.
Part of my job with United Way is that I work with the northern counties to do exactly this. So when we have a mobile food pantry, we also have TVCCA there. We also have Madonna Place there. Hartford Healthcare does clinics also where they have UCFS, so that Hartford Healthcare can refer to somebody at UCFS. They can say, let's go talk to this person. It's a way to bring everybody into the room. And if you need mental health care, let's get you set up with an appointment here. If you need food, we have food. If you need help with your children, or you need to sign up for WIC, it's all there in a facility where people are coming for help already, and they're already there. And it's a great way to give wraparound services all at the same time.
I believe ours are, I know we do the same thing with the Marge Von Tulis's team. They do exactly
Absolutely.
once a month, they have the same programs, but this is something completely different. So
Right,
it's really,
there's no downside.
no, not at all.
The only downside is we might end up with a permanent new employee.
Well, that's okay though, because honestly, John, I think we need one.
Did you get your tax bill this month? I did.
Yeah, so did I, but you can't agree that it's not important. I mean,
No, there are
there's
certain
like,
employees, if we can
Guess
keep getting
what?
grants to fund this, I'm okay with that.
seriously, and I think we're almost behind
Preventative care
in
always says,
getting more help, but whatever bit we can get. Just by 2 cents, sorry.
So again, just, and I think John's point is well taken, though. I mean, we can't be willy-nilly about spending things or bringing staff members on that we can't sustain. But I think in this case, we have 18 months, which is longer than a year. We'll have, a bit of time there to evaluate whether this is being successful before, it'll be a year from now before the, the next budget kind of goes into effect. So we would even,
True.
know what we're kind of in for. Is this being successful? Is it not? So I think it's, we do have a bit of insurance against, signing ourselves up for something unsustainable by having that 18-month period.
So what are the standards? Like, do you have a checklist or some sort of guideline that identifies whether this is successful or a failure that we could refer to in 18 months?
Yeah, that's a lot of what we're doing, John. We're going through training right now on evaluation and documentation and how do we, how do we set our objectives? How do we measure whether we make those objectives? Are people being served? Are they being referred to these community partners? Is the community health being affected in a positive way? Are people, our rates of obesity or asthma or whatever going down? A lot of those things take a really long time to kind of see, but we'll have indications certainly about how many people have been connected to services and how many people got meals and how many people got, vaccinated or whatever. We'll have all of those numbers and we can use those to, like I say, to make a decision before we get too far down the road.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
That's good. Yeah. Like,
Any other questions? I just want to add that I look at it as this person's going to be the coordinator. She's not going to be a counselor. She's not going to be cooking food in the kitchen. She's going to be bringing in the services that are needed. And
peanut butter sandwiches,
what's that?
peanut butter sandwiches.
But I think that's what's needed. And I think it's going to be an excellent program. I hear what John's saying and I can appreciate his concern, but we may find it to be so valuable that the community can be very comfortable with it. So, all right, shall we put it to a vote?
Sure. Recommendation. The recommendation to the full body.
Recommendations to the full body?
Yeah, so your committee will recommend this to the RTM.
Okay.
perfect.
Shall we recommend that this be approved by the RTM?
Yes,
We have to have a motion and a second first.
I'll second it, John.
Did John just make a motion?
Did you make the motion?
Well, no, I'm asking our chairman, did she just make the motion?
Yes, I did. I'm
Okay.
making a motion that we accept the Wellness Hub grant. And do I have a second? Liz, thank
Representative
you.
Powers has already seconded it.
That's what I said. I was thanking her,
We're
John.
all seconding.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Yeah, anybody opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstention.
You're,
I'm
okay,
opposed.
John,
Oh,
you're opposed. Oh,
there's a
John.
lag, there's a lag.
John, you're
I'm only
opposed?
opposed because I don't like adding new employees.
Ah, all right, well, you're
I
out.
mean, I like the idea of the grant, but I'm not a,
Make a whole
But what if
new
it
one.
works out really great? We'll have to look.
yeah, I
at
hope it works out really great. And I'm one voice. I just, I gotta be the fiscally conservative one here.
Okay, good for you. All right, we
Yeah,
love you.
really.
Brian.
Do that.
Well, I wish I wasn't chair because I would argue with you about it a little bit, John. but-
Whatever has stopped you, Leanne?
I think you pound, what's that saying? Pound,
Foolish.
yeah.
Anyway,
foolish.
I didn't kill it. I'm just the one no vote. That's all.
Oh, wow. That's all good.
Well, I think you, of all people, should know that there are things that we need.
Well, there's a balance
Okay.
in the end. I give him credit. There's a balance, like adding employees and
Oh,
he
don't
wants
be
to
nice.
see- he wants to see how it's gonna work out. It's all good.
You gotta do it.
Flop, who knows?
And I may vote yes for it at the RTM meeting. You never know.
Exactly. We'll have plenty of time to convince you.
Uh,
Oh,
Okay, now we have, put on the floor for discussion, the CSDE Summer Enrichment Grant. And I will again ask Jerry to explain that for us.
Okay, this one is much easier. The Connecticut State Department of Education, that's the CSDE. They have funds available for summer enrichment activities that allow kids to maintain learning throughout the summer. And certainly Parks and Recreation, we do a lot of summer camps, and we have our, a day camp that we run at Northeast Academy with dozens and dozens of children.
Okay.
So, and in a sense, all we have to do is we applied, we were approved for it. And we are actually right now providing all of those things right now. And so the question is, I guess, for the RTM is whether or not we want to get reimbursed from the state for doing all these things that we're doing. So, yeah, our summer camp is about, not even, it ends a week from tomorrow. So we're already doing this stuff. We are, doing all kinds of educational activities. We've expanded opportunities for people to get financial assistance to go to camp. We have added some free field trips to go to places like Ocean Beach, things like that. So again, we're already doing that. We're paying for it out of our special revenue fund budget. And really it comes down to whether or not we want to take advantage of this reimbursement opportunity from the state or not.
Motion, we send this one to the RTM.
Oh, it's already here.
Yeah. You
I mean, it's the committee, but
don't want to drain that fund that we use.
Okay, I'm gonna put a motion on the floor that we accept the CSDE Summer Enrichment Grant after our explanation by Jerry.
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. We have a second,
yes.
and just 1 second. Okay. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Okay,
Oh, yes.
That's everybody.
I said yes. I said yes.
I'm yes.
oh. Be sure you find somebody to hire for some part of that.
There's a philosophical issue here about accepting money from the state that comes from our taxes.
That's the other part. That's the other pocket on your
Sometimes it's
pants.
not though. Sometimes it's from fines. You'd be surprised where some of this
Yeah.
money comes from.
Crazy. huh?
It's our taxes though.
Because it's grant money. Grant money has different stuff. It's different stuff.
I
Yeah.
hope some Greenwich taxes though myself.
Is there anything else that any member has that wants to put on the floor?
Motion to
I
adjourn?
would,
Having a big party for Jerry?
yeah, absolutely. I would accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I will
Okay.
send.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
You want
Bye,
to
everybody.
abstain, John?
Thank you, everybody.
Bye now.
Good night, you guys.
Thank
Good to
you.
see everybody.